Hi guys, welcome over here. Welcome. Thanks for joining. I appreciate how we're doing, guys.
www.horses.land. In 1992, 4 hunters discovered a decomposing human body in the Alaskan wilderness. This body was Chris McCandless, a 24-year-old who had abandoned all of his possessions and hiked into the Yukon with little more than a rifle and some books. McCandless was an intelligent, hard-working young man who came from an affluent family and graduated college with high marks. All of the opportunities of the world were surely within reach, and yet his life ended alone, starving to death in the Alaskan countryside. The story of McCandless became an article, a best-selling novel, and eventually a movie. The tale ignited a firestorm of critique, comment, and speculation, much of which still rages on today. Who was Chris McCandless? Why did he march headstrong into the wilderness? What fate came upon him? Thankfully, these answers are relatively easy to find. They have been hidden behind public opinion and a dark family secret, but the truth about Chris is within reach. On his journey, all the way up to his last day on Earth, the young man recorded everything in a personal journal. In 1993, author John Krakauer published a short editorial in Outside magazine about Chris McCandless called Death of an Innocent. It received such widespread attention and acclaim that Krakauer soon expanded it into the wild. That novel then spawned a movie, some TV documentaries, and another book. This second book was written by Chris's sister and describes the tumultuous home life which propelled Chris to his Alaskan voyage. By pulling from all of these sources, we earn a holistic, earnest understanding of Chris McCandless. Chris was born into an upper-class family in Inglewood, California, but eventually attended
Goku Edits, welcome Goku Edits on YouTube. Thanks for joining. How are you?
On graduating, Chris mailed his final grades, which were spectacular. Indeed, he'd always been a brilliant, intelligent, and hard-working student. McCandless had all of the advantages a person could be born with, and a work ethic to make good upon these promises.
Oh, thank you very much for the sub.
At first glance, all signs may have been pointing
thank you very much for the sub, Goku. I appreciate it. Thank you. How are you?
Graduation came and went, and by August, his parents had not heard a word from their son. Worried about his safety and whereabouts, the parents traveled to Atlanta. When they arrived at Chris's apartment, they found a "For Rent" sign on the window. In fact, Chris had actually vanished from the apartment 5 weeks earlier. He had instructed the post office to hold his mail rather than forward it anywhere, so that his parents would have no idea as to his destination. So it was early July when, full of
How are you, Goku? How are you today? Jesus is King.
Chris McCandless
thank you for coming.
His remaining college funds to the charity Oxford.
Thanks for coming.
Formally changed his name to the moniker Alexander Supertramp. With this new identity, Chris drove his yellow Datsun
what are you up to, Goku?
And eventually,
thank you very much for the
thousands of miles away at Lake Mead National Recreation
What are you doing tonight?
In Arizona. Chris steered the car off-road and drove 2 miles to the lake's southern shore. There he pitched his tent and thus began the odyssey that would become both his life and his death. Admittedly, the earliest days of Chris's adventure were marked by folly and misfortune. 2 days after he arrived, seasonal rainstorms hit Lake Mead. The rainwater pushed down from the higher parts of the park, quickly flooding Chris's campsite. The rain did not destroy his car, but it had soaked the engine. After the flood, when Chris tried to start his Datsun, the engine would not turn over. His repeated attempts to start the vehicle drained the battery entirely. If Chris walked to the paved road and asked for help with his car, that would inevitably bring a number of problems. Any towing company would need to speak to the park rangers. The authorities would have questions and likely fines for Chris, many of which would probably culminate in
Is that what you're doing tonight?
Furthermore, his car was uninsured, his registration had lapsed, and his license was expired. So Chris decided to just leave the Datsun behind. It was another material possession which he could now reject. He removed its plates, buried them, and left his car under a tarp.
Is your phone here?
Okay.